Hotel TV talking low, neon sliding through the curtain, drawing bars across the floor. There's a suitcase by the heater, zipper chewed from years of rope, couple gloves inside the side pocket, folded shirt and darker clothes. When that number starts to flash, there's no room for second thoughts. By the time they dial my name, all their choices have been bought. Coffee and a diner by the tracks, napkins with a scribbled address, folded tight and pushed way back. Old man wiping down the counter, watches me but doesn't ask. He's seen men who move in silence, he can smell a different task. I step out into the parking lot, feel the gravel under boots. Every tail light on the highway feels like someone else's truth. I don't write the orders down, I just read between the lines. I don't raise my voice at all, I just watch the warning signs. When my number rings, it's already too late. I'm the last quiet hand that comes to straighten what you break. By the time you see my headlights rolling past your gate, you're not asking for a future, you just need me at your place. You can talk about your fire, you can lean on all those names, but when my number rings, it's already past the blame. Gas station in the middle, hum of lights above the sink, water running off my fingers, washing off what you don't think. There's a mirror with a crack line cutting right across my face, like a border drawn between the man I am and what I chase. I straighten up my collar, close the trunk and check the locks. Every mile I leave behind you adds another to my box. I don't sign the dotted line, I don't stand in front of crowds, I don't drink with men who shout their stories up into the clouds. I move quiet through the back doors where the noise won't stain my name. I just make sure when it's over that your mess won't look the same. When my number rings, it's already too late. I'm the last calm voice that comes to measure what you state. By the time you hear my footsteps moving through your gate, you're not dreaming of a way out, you're just sitting with the weight. You can light your little fires, you can chase that crooked fame, but when my number rings, I'm the one who writes the frame. leg a little shorter than the rest. Glass ring burning to the wood, right where my elbow likes to rest. Mirror full of crooked bottles, catching faces in a crooked line. Old clock over by the doorway, hand stuck 10 past closing time. You walked in with your collar up, eyes still loud from streets outside. Took a seat where I can see you in the glass just off my side. Yeah, I've played this room 100 nights, watched boys turn to different men. Some learned how to count their steps, some walked out and never came again. I used to sit where you are now, jacket thin, my jaw too hard. Thought the world would fold and open if I pushed with one more card. Then I learned the quiet grammar of who leaves and who comes back. How a favor bought on promise puts a shadow on your track. This ain't just a bar, kid, it's a classroom after dark. Every nod, every silence leaves a footprint, leaves a mark. You can drink and miss the lesson, you can laugh and miss the low, or you can listen between the notes for the bar stool code. I live by bar stool code, carved low where the lights don't reach. Keep my back against this wall and let my stories teach. I'm the man behind this guitar, turning warnings into songs. If you wanna walk this life and still know where you belong, power's not in getting louder when the room begins to shake. It's in knowing when to stand and which promises you made. There was a night a younger me chased noise into a narrow lane. Met a man with easy money, smooth advice for easy gain. He said all you need is nerve, I can dress you like your mate. But his gaze was counting exits while his smile was counting trade. I walked out with heavier pockets, left a friend to hold the bill. Next week that same friend's jacket hung here empty, hanging still. So I keep his old guitar pick tape beneath this wooden edge. Every time my fingers find it, that's another quiet pledge. Not to trade out all my people just to sit a higher chair. Not to trust a softened offer that won't meet me in the glare. I live by bar stool code, scratch small where the stains run long. Hold this seat at the far end, turn my scars into a song. You can learn it if you're watching when the room leans toward the door. When a man decides he's finished and he's not coming back for more. Power's not in chasing legend, still they grind you in their load. It's in leaving with your spine straight and the bar stool code you hold.
shake, and the freight trucks roll on by, buzzing ceiling light paints this room in tide white on high. Motel Bible on the nightstand, map unfolded on the bed, black coffee in a paper cup, cold by the lamp instead. Suitcase closed but waiting, zipper grinning in the dark. Room key on the table, like a quiet question mark. Hours you a dozen highways and a few bad debts ago. Thought the road could make me bigger than the shadows that I owe. On back roads with the dashboard lights turned low. Learned to sleep with one bootlace, one eye on the door, slow glow. Kept my story short at counters where the coffee tastes like rust. Every mile I bought with silence, every dollar paid in trust. There's a ladder made of favors that will cut you when you climb, and a man smile the widest are the first to sell your time. Kid, this road will put a shine every scar you try to hide, but every mile that makes you bigger takes a piece from you inside. Key on the table, code in my hand. I'll walk when I decide, not when they command. No hero, I'm the cost of every deal. Miles on my boots and a backbone made of steel. Take what you need from the story that I leave. That key on the table says I chose my exit clean. Outside the window flickers green, then fades to black. Gas pump numbers out on the lot keep jumping like the pets. There's a jacket on the hanger with a different name sewn in. No ID inside the wallet next to folded discipline. If you stay, you'll be a chapter that some other hand will write. If you go, go like a man who understands the night. Don't chase crowns on crooked thrones, they'll trade you for a song. Don't mistake a busy calendar for a life that's strong. Hold your word above your hunger, keep your circle razor small. Never let a loud man be the one who makes the call. Key on the table, code in my hand. I step into the night just like I always planned. I'm no legend, just a warning. Carved in miles, an outlaw gentleman who kept his silence and his style. Kid, if you learn anything from how I disappeared, that key on the table is the line I drew right here. Found your way up to reserve, interlocking the tired guards. Soft shoes on a hallway carpet, young eyes full of hungry stars. There's a lamp on this old wood desk, circle of light like a private stage. Ledger open in the center, every name another page. You say you're done with small winnings, tired of knocking at the door. You want the table where they draw the lines, not crumbs off the floor. I tell you power doesn't shout, it signs quiet in blue-black ink. It waits behind closed blinds, watching who forgets to think. These folders stacked against a wall, they're not stories, they're chains and keys. One call shifts a row of numbers, someone drops to both their knees. You see the loud men in sharp jackets, think that's how the whole game runs. But the men who never raise their voice move louder than their guns. Look down at these columns, how the losses lean on gains. Every profit hides a person, every favor wears a name. You keep asking for a doorway, for the handshake in the dark. You don't know yet what it costs to keep the book and play the shark. I'm the one with a ledger in the dark, where your secrets turn to figures, every hope becomes a mark. You can climb out of the alleys, trade your bruises for a chart. But once you ink on this paper, you belong to what you start. I'm the quiet hand that never leaves a scar. I don't need a knife to move you, I've got the ledger in the dark. There was a boy with your same posture, thought the streets owed him a crown. I showed him how to weigh the debts, what to circle, strike or drown. He learned to balance cash with danger, learn which names you never touch. Then he slipped one number sideways, thought the house wouldn't see that much. Now his chair stays at this corner, pushed in, facing toward the wall. His files thin and folded, that's how quiet endings fall. So you want the keys to hallways where the doors unlock for you. You want phones that ring at midnight, waiting on the word you choose. Sign your place along this margin, let this city feel your weight. Just remember when you're counting, the same book will count has a sheep coat against my shoulder, window shaking in its frame. Station lights turn into streaks now, no one here to call my name. Ticket folded in my wallet like a verdict in my hand. Suitcase leaning by my boots, last small piece of where I stand. Fluorescent hum above me whispers like a tired metal sign. Every mile this steel is stealing pulls your shadow out of mine. I remember that small kitchen where we shared a crooked chair. Coffee steaming, quiet laughter, your bare feet on every stair. You kept tracing where I vanished while my phone would die till dawn. While the suits came after midnight and left before the birds were on. You were reading through the secrets underneath my steady stare. So I packed a different silence and I left you breathing air. I could drag you down these corridors of things you shouldn't see, or I could be the one who takes the ghost and sets you free. So I bought a ticket out of the dark, not a promise of the light, just a number on a timetable, disappearing from the night. I'm a name on faded paper that this city won't erase, but it won't find you beside me when it comes to make its case. If I vanish past the border of these tracks and leave no mark, no, I left you with your daylight on this ticket out of the dark. There's a briefcase and a locker at a station far ahead, full of papers, quiet answer for the ones who want me dead. They will wake and find my office like a shell that's been unfilled. Chair still warm, pen still waiting, all the calls that won't be billed. They will curse the way I slipped out through the cracks of their own town, but I signed my own departure in the currents running down. I've been counting every gamble ever stacked beneath my name, every favor, every secret, every move inside the game. Some nights I feel your fingers where my collar used to crease, but I settle with the shadow so your heartbeat stays in peace. Yeah, I took a ticket out of the dark, not a clean or noble grace, just a second-class compartment, slowly losing me in space. I'm a rumor in the records that this city likes to keep. Let it talk into its pillow while you finally get to sleep. If you ever feel that shiver, like a wheel against a spark, that's just me still rolling, baby, on this ticket out of the dark. On this ticket out of the dark. Desk lamp draws a small circle in a room of polished dark. Ledger open on the desktop, every column like a scar. Window shows the sleeping towers, dots of gold along the spine. Safe door closed beside my shoulder, heavy steel is guarding time. Fountain pen above the paper, unsent words that start with friend. Photo frame turned to the table, I don't need your eyes again. There's a shadow by the drawer line, where a cold shape loves to sit. But the real weight's in these pages, and the name I buried in. We were just two quiet soldiers, moving cases up the stairs. You would carry all the metal, I would balance all the shares. I learned how to move the lightning through a bank of silent wire. Learned to keep the front room smiling, keep the heat from certain fires. And then the numbers started talking, they said someone had to fall. Pressure building from the outside, someone had to take the call. So I shifted just a digit, let the trail move through my hand, let the story draw an arrow where your signature would land. Paper never shows the bruises, ink don't tremble when it lies, but the tally doesn't sleep, it keeps its mark behind your eyes. Keeps it all off the books, move a fortune with a pencil and a careful second look. Every secret in the city runs through columns that I spin. I can hide it from the world, but your name stays under my skin. All the power in the silence, all the dirt on tidy hooks. I can balance every legend, but I can't write you off the book. Now your letters come from somewhere, with a number for a name, short lines on a folded paper, never asking who to blame. I send money in an envelope, never sign it with my hand, just a seal and quiet figure, like a ghost still in the plan. Boss shakes mine across the conference, says I keep his kingdom clean. He don't see the extra margin, where your line still burns in me. Every night I lock this office, spin the dial and kill the light, but the columns walk beside me, down the hallway every night. Never owe what you can't cover, never promise what you can't pay. Every digit has a shadow, if you aim it the wrong way. Every comma is a crossroad, Every zero hides a day. Every quiet little favor is a thing you won't forget. I'm the man who keeps it all off the books, turn the city into numbers with a hard, unshaken look. I can clear a dozen ledgers, make the worst of sins look thin, but there's one line in the margin that keeps cutting from within. All the power in the silence, all the dirt on tidy hooks. I can hold this world together, but I can't write you off the book.
Platform, last train gone, flicker in the station lights. Paper cup of cold black coffee, footsteps echo through the night. Ticket folded in my pocket, jacket hanging off one arm, name tag crooked on my collar, gun still sleeping, metal warm. Like a key beside my lighter, worn down edges silver thin. There's a badge back in a drawer at home that doesn't fit my skin. I walk past lines of yellow tape, I helped to draw a shade too late. Turned away from clean confessions when the wrong man held the weight. Shook hands inside dim back offices, closed the file, killed the lamp. Let one quiet wolf keep breathing, let the loud one take the stamp. Every favor bought me credit in a room that trades in fear. Now the mirror over my razor doesn't call me officer clear. There's a law they write on paper, there's the rule that lives in me. Every night they grow more distant, like two tracks that never meet. So I walk this line with a badge I buried alive, still wearing this suit like a story that barely survived. I'm the shadow in the hallway when the truth can't stand upright. I rewrite the final sentence, then I ride into the night. You can call me what you like, but when the weak still make it home, is the weight of what I've chosen that I carry on my own. Night train hums along the river, rattles low and slow. Window showing me a stranger with my jaw from years ago. Overhead the tide light flickers, coat hooked on an empty seat. Photo locked inside my briefcase, names and dates in folded sheets. I could drop it on a desk and watch some bright careers ignite, or let sleeping pages linger, keep my kingdom out of sight. Every shortcut had a reason when this town turned off its face. Every crime scene hid a story that was easier erased. Now the hush inside this carriage sounds like boots in distant rain, walking back along the choices that I'll never clear again. So I walk this line with a badge I buried alive, half a witness, half a warden, to the things I let survive. I'm the silence in the stairwell when the deal goes down upstairs. I decide which truth gets spoken and which one just disappears. If you sleep through all the sirens in this restless crooked hive, thank the man who bent the law for you with the badge he buried alive.
Boots on a cold platform, pain lines cracking under my heel. Overhead speaker, mumbling names that barely sound real. Paper cup of black coffee, cooling slow in my hand. Single suitcase by the bench, all that's left of what I am. Train lights stretch the shadows, silver rails drawn tight. One ticket in my pocket, one quiet way out tonight. I used to move numbers in back rooms no one saw. Sign my name on favors instead of on the law. Waited in a small apartment with a lamp turned low. Dinner getting colder while I lied about where I go. I kept you just outside the circle, close enough to feel the heat, but far enough the windows locked, you weren't in that seat. Now
Now the phones have too many ears, the wall's too thin to trust. Too many hands on the table, all hungry for the same dust. If I stay, they'll learn your name like they learned mine back then. And this city never lets go once it drags you in. So I'm taking the last train under my name, rolling out of this city like I'm wiping off a frame. I could stay and hold my corner, live crowned in quiet blame, but I'd pull you through the embers just to guard my claim. I'd rather vanish in the dark than see you tagged by my flame. So I'm riding this last train under my name. Now I'm in a narrow compartment, curtain drawn halfway. Your picture tucked in my wallet, edges soft and frayed. I write your words you'll never read on the back of this ticket stub, about the ledger in my chest and every stain I had to scrub. Neon from the outer ring of town flickers on the glass. Every light we're leaving feels like one more life I pass. If you ever hear Lay Rail sing, you know I kept my side of the deal. Walk the daylight streets in peace, forget how my nights used to feel. Tell yourself I was a story that you folded up with time. Let the quiet in your kitchen be the only thing that's mine. 'Cause I'm on the last train under my name, putting miles between your door and every shadow in my game. I could stay and call it love while I paint you in my shame, but I won't let this life mark you as part of what I became. I'll be a ghost between the stations, but you won't carry that blame. So I'm riding this last train under my name. Machine coughing down the hall real low. Motel Bible crooked in the drawer half shut. Plastic flowers by the sink, dust on the cut. My boots by the door, still warm from the road. Duffel bag leaning like it's ready to explode. station sign flickers just across the lane. Tired kid wiping at the same old stain. Diner coffee drifting through the broken seal. Neon drawing stripes on this steering wheel. I fold your letter on the blanket by my side. Read your lines about a house and a quiet life. You write, come back, we can start clean. No more secrets, no more nights you're gone too long. But you don't see what rides behind me, or whose names light up when that old phone hums along. So I leave the key under the neon, never slam the door when I disappear. I'm a man who moves before the trouble lands, keeps a shadow from the ones he holds dear. If I loved you any less, I'd stay and let it burn. Let the whole road crash straight through your home. But I love you like a lock safe code. So I leave the key under the neon and go alone. On the nightstand marked with quiet turns. Old pen bleeding where the paper's thin and burned. Tank half full and an exit circled twice. I know this route like a gambler knows the dice. Trucks roll past like a slow steel tide. Every engine rumble says it's time to ride. You think I'm running from us, but I'm out in front of what's coming to that door. If they knock and find you smiling, you'd pay for debts you never signed for. So when you wake and feel that distance, don't mistake it for a man who's lost his nerve. It's me choosing open pavement over watching you get what I deserve. So I leave the key under the neon, room still warm from where my body lay. I'm the ghost that pulls the blanket straight, wipes my number from your phone and drives away. If I loved you any softer, I'd stay and let it ride. Let the past crawl in and claim you as its own. But I love you like a lock safe code. So I leave the key under the neon and ride alone. back room light is green, humming over columns in a row. Ledger open on the table, every name of dead I know. Safe door breathing in the corner, metal jar that never speaks, ink still shining on the pages from the work we did this week. You pour me something dark and quiet, slide it down with steady hands. Floor is scarred from chairs and footsteps, deals and worn out wedding bands. I don't come here for confession, but tonight I bend that rule, 'cause there's one line in these figures that turn me from sharp to cruel. He was with me from the sidewalks, from the days we split one coat. Shared a lighter, shared a doorway, shared a half-remembered note. We were boys with empty pockets, till the walls turned soft to steel. We climbed ladders made of favors, learned which pressure points to feel. Last month someone brought a problem with his name underlined twice. Talked his temper, talked his habits, said he'd rolled the wrong kind of dice. I just waited in the margins, drew a circle round his file, closed the cover, signed the paper, nodded once and held my smile. On the side of the table, it's just symbols black on white. Out there one simple check mark means someone won't see the night. There's blood in the ledger, but my hands look clean. Every stroke of this ink cuts deeper than it seems. I balance the columns, keep the house in line, count the losses like numbers, call it cost instead of crime. I sit in the quiet where the big men really tread. There's blood in the ledger, and it's written in my head. Now his chair stays bare and waiting at the corner of the bar. Same old hook above the counter where he'd hang his fraying scarf. You still wipe that patch by habit, like you're waiting for his boots. But his tab got stamped completed with a handshake and a suit. Boss still sends the envelopes, pen still scratch and sign on cue. I still total every evening, pass the folder back to you. On the surface nothing's broken, books all match, the cash all fits. But there's one line carved like gravel I can't smooth out of this list. Men like me don't swing the hammers, we just mark where they should land. Move a comma, change a total, that's enough to close a hand. You can call it order business, any word that helps it pass. But I still see my oldest brother in that thin black line of ink and glass. There's blood in the ledger, though the floor stays dry. Every silent little signature decides who says goodbye. I keep the machine steady, keep the house on time, trade my sleep for their comfort, wear that burden like a tie. I live in the back room where daylight seldom spreads. There's blood in the ledger, and it's living in my head. Dex lamp throws a yellow ring across this polished wood. Cash stacked like low gray walls where your restless hands once stood. You drop tonight's envelope, grin like it's another crown. I turn the pages of the ledger while you pace and talk too loud. Blinds are drawn half open, narrow teeth, a distant light. City hum behind the glass like it's listening to our night. Old brass key on my wrist chain, safe door waiting for my hand. You say you're done with waiting, now you want the whole command. Started with a folding table in the back hall down the stair. You brought in the rough and hungry, I made sure the books ran fair. Names were only few back then, ink was clean and lines were straight. No one owed more than they carried, no one walked in full of hate. But power brings new signatures you can't wipe off with a sleeve. Men who never hear a warning, men who never plan to leave. You love engines and bright doorways, doors kicked open loud and wide. I love knowing what we promised and the cost of both our lives. You chase the roaring spotlight, I watch the numbers creep. One of us builds the legend, one of us decides who sleep. I'm the lines in the legend that decide who walks away. Every day, every favor, every quiet word you say. You can wear the shiny stories, you can stand out in the light, but I count the ones who are missing when we lock this door. Holding up the roof above us while your weight keeps testing fate. Yeah. You drum your fingers on the desktop like a man who smells a throne. Talk about a louder harvest, bigger teeth and sharper tone. I slide your share across the grain, folded once and facing down. Watch your eyes drift past the paper towards some other people's crowns. There's a drawer beside my knee that never needs to make a sound. steal beneath the stack of folders. If the wrong name comes around, I don't gesture, I don't threaten. That's not how I hold control. I just underline a figure when someone's digging their own hole. Paper doesn't bleed, it only holds the trail you make. Lawmen read these columns long before they see a blade or shake. If the beams begin to splinter and the floor starts giving in, these lines choose who finds a doorway and who pays for what's been done. I'm the lines in the ledger that decide who gets to stay. Every cut that keeps us breathing, every name I file away. You can be the face in thunder, you can toast another night, but I balance what you gamble when the whole way's out of sight. I'm the lines in the ledger, quiet guard behind your place, and I'll keep this house from falling if you learn to move my way.
Headlights cut a narrow tunnel through the dark. Dashboard clock says 3 a.m. Engine ticks like a tired heart. Phone face down, but I still hear you. Hear your shaking voice. Come out to the old bridge. Ran out of better choice. Trunk's got that heavy silence that don't rattle when I turn. Plastic folded like a curtain, tools that never see the sun. Sodium lamps along the guardrail, buzzing hum. River moving slow beneath us, like it knows what we've become. I've wiped walls in motel bathrooms till the grout turned pale. Watch the steam from burning fabrics ride its curling little tail. Bleach bottle rolling in the backseat with a dull soft knock. Gloves by the floorboard, hood half warm, still ticking from the wall. Hose down empty alleys till the drains ran clear. Scrub the stories off the concrete like they never happened here. Every favor cuts a notch, every notch still has your name. I keep them filed behind my ribs, I never speak them, but they stay. I don't deal in saints or sins, I deal in what gets done. When the night has closed its doors on you, I'm the last remaining one. I'm the
I don't ask you for the details when I just move what you can't carry and I don't come back again. You can hide behind your stories with your wide-eyed trembling friends, but the man they call at 3 a.m. remembers how it ends. You stand there by the railing with your collar pulled up high, hands jammed deep inside your pockets like you're strangling a lie. You say, brother, I was cornered, and I hear it in your tone, that little reach for something clean you'd never say alone. I scan the empty roadway, feel the steel beneath my palm. Every storm you drag me into, I walk in looking calm, but there's a line across this bridge only I can see, where the work stops being loyal and it starts erasing me. You think this river keeps its secrets, think the darkness makes you clean, think calling me will spare you from the weight of what you've seen. But every time you hit my number, you hand me one more stone to hold. And a man who lives on other people's midnights never gets to die of old. I'm the man they call at 3 a.m. when the damage runs too heavy for the rest of them. And I don't ask you who you hurt or when, I just carry it in silence while you breathe like it was then. You can walk away at sunrise with your shaking almost spent, but the man they call at 3 a.m. is where your night went. Corridor lights are on, roof flame joking never wing. Dark curl and handy, hello, who lives in me. I'll take by the mind, screwing all the jobs I run. God walks away from power, this train forgets another thing. There's up and down on the instruction, with a lot of window more. Dark contracted for the tracks, remember name. Dark contrast with window, with another room. like a sleeping dog, bright as a narrow bed. Vending machine at the end car, humming through the carriage door. There's a cup of cooling coffee, rolling lazy on the floor. I watch my own reflection hover over all that black outside, as I learn to hold a secret, hands that never had to hide. I fed this place with quiet favors, moved his money, trimmed his claws, never asked them for a crown, just a right to write my laws. He gave me steel in my backbone, taught me prices for my skin, marked the cost of every favor, every loss and every win. But you started eating your own legends just to keep the hunger fed. So I'm taking what I walked in with, and I'm stepping out ahead. This train forgets my face when the daylight hits the plains, but these tracks remember names. You can paint over my doorway, let another take my chair, but the steel under this carriage knows I'll leave you with your kingdom and your bright and crooked games. This train forgets my face, but the tracks remember names. Factories fade to empty lots, then to fields and sleeping towns. Billboard frames with nothing on them, rusted stairs and quiet grounds. A porch light in the distance holds a circle in the dark. Somewhere like that I'll lay my jacket on a smaller, safer mark. No more calls at 3 in the morning, no more last chance, tight-lipped speech. Just a door that waits for my key, not for who I used to reach. I'm not trading in my nature, just the radius of my reign. Still the man who keeps a promise, just a little off your chain. I came in on a younger ticket, single bag and sharpened pride. Learned the language of the back rooms, how to stand and when to slide. Thought these rails would only pull me deeper into what I chose. Never pictured they'd be carrying me out before they close. This train forgets my face when the daylight hits the plains, but these tracks remember names. You can wipe me from your ledgers, let the next man wear my crimes, but these wheels have felt my footsteps, counting out their quiet rhymes. I'll leave you with your alleys and your bright and crooked games. This train gets my face, but the tracks remember names. fan buzzing over stains in the ceiling. Styrofoam cup of cold black coffee by my knee. There's a road map out edges soft from all the dealing, and a letter with your name that no one's ever gonna see. Motel picture hanging crooked over peeling paint. Radio on low with some sad old singer faint. Boots by the door, dust from towns I never named. Key on the nightstand catching every flicker of the flame. You wanted dinners, quiet rooms, a steady light. I kept coming back with new cuts from a different knife. Not the kind you hold in your hand, but the kind you hide inside, where every favor road becomes another place to slide. I've shaken hands in lots behind that humming neon glare. Made decisions in the rear view, you don't need to breathe in there. So I drew a line between your world and where I roam. Now the only thing we share is this letter I won't take home. I leave before the questions ever finish in their eyes. Learn the safest way to love is mostly in disguise. So I leave the key on the nightstand when it's time to disappear. I'm the rumor on the highway that was never really here. I'm the name they half remember when the story's turning dark. Then they swallow it and stare back down at circles on the bar. Yeah, I leave the key on the nightstand, that's a mark of how I move. Keep the danger in my chest and let your whole world stay smooth. Just enough to cross 3 states. Extra plates in the glove box for different kinds of fates. I got numbers in my memory I'll be clearing before dawn. Faces that won't ever know the reason I was gone. If you wake up with my name like a weight behind your teeth, just remember every mile I drive is one you'll never meet. I could pull you through the shadow of the choices that I made, or I can be the cut I take so your light never fades. Some men build their monuments in pictures on a wall. Mine are doors that close behind me, empty footsteps down the hall. If there's one thing I can give you from this crooked, quiet side, it's the distance between your soft life and the roads I have to ride. So I leave the key on the nightstand, turn the handle soft and slow. Let the hallway hum behind me and the parking lot glow. I'm the shadow in the windshield, I'm the tail lights thin and thin. I'm the man who keeps his promise by not letting you fall in. Yeah, I leave the key on the nightstand, that's a code I have to keep. You'll be safe inside your sunrise while I'm driving where it's deep. keep my memories going. One with soaking road points, when we're loud as ten, through the blinds, fading dance. The human dream I've been known is eternal, never road open no. Suitcase by the dresser, shirt and tie across the drawer. There's a notepad by the Bible, little logo of a star, pen cap on the table, ink stain in a coffee scar. I write your name and cross it out, let the letters touch the floor. I've lived a long time, making sure my name stayed off the door. Tailored in the boardrooms, sat in back rooms just the same. Half the books were for the courthouse, half were written for the game. Signed a dozen different papers, never once my true hand shown. Every deal with someone softer standing out there as the face I loan. You would ask me what I did, I'd say just the numbers, nothing more. Kept you out of nights with men I never used, the lobby door. You deserved a quiet kitchen, kept meetings after dark, trading promises for payments with a steady, careful mark. Now this road reads like a ledger with 1,000 unpaid lines, and my heart is just a margin where your name keeps crossing mine. So I keep my name off the door, leave the room paid in cash, and I don't come back no more. I'm the shadow in the lobby they pretend they never saw, walking out before the morning shakes the dust from every floor. I can love you from a distance, like a letter in a drawer, but I keep my life on the road and my name off the door. Gas receipt is folded in the pocket of my coat. Map is creased to where the high wraps around a quiet note. There's a diner by the exit with a counter chrome and steam, where I watch the younger drifters wearing pieces of my dream. I could turn this car around, drive back into what we had, let you see the man behind the ledgers, not the mask I made my habit back. But the phone sits on the bedside, little red light counting time, and the
the silence in between us is the last thing still of mine. Don't mistake this for surrender. I'm not running from the cost. I'm just choosing where the damage lands, what gets kept and what gets lost. Better I fade in the rear view than you live with what I've done. So I'll take the weight and distance. You can keep the morning sun. So I keep my name off the door, leave a key on the counter and my prints on nothing more. I'm the suit that never checked it under any honest law. Driving out before the daylight starts to show you what I saw. If you ever think about me when you hear an engine roar, just know I kept you in my heart and my name off the door.
Past these cities warm, smooth, where 1,000 stories sat. Neon clock above the platform blinked and never answered back. I stepped on with one small duffel, kept my shoulders loose and straight, left the echoes in the station and the dogs to guard the gate. Now the carriage hums and shivers like a wire under strain. Overhead a tired strip light draws a halo around my name. Ticket folded in my jacket, just a print in black and white. Paid for every line I crossed between your kitchen and the night. Barefoot on the faded tile, pouring coffee in that chip cup with that half-amused slow smile. You kept asking what I carried through the pockets of my day. I kept answering with silence and the debts I'd have to pay. You deserve a quiet Sunday, not a fist that splits the air, not a stranger at your doorway asking who has lived in there. So I packed up all my secrets, all the names that burn and turn, set them underneath this seat with my ticket, no return. There's a line between a man who leaves and one who runs in fear. I chose steel beneath my boots instead of waiting for them here. Got a ticket with no return. I don't crawl back when the bridges burn. If this train keep rolling, let the old life fade. I'll pay my dues alone for the moves I made. I'm not asking for forgiveness, that's a road I never earned. I just cash in what I've taken on a ticket with no return. Outside fields and rusted sidings slide like ghosts across the glass. Empty platforms, single benches where the midnight hours pass. Phone is dark inside my pocket, your last message frozen there. Every word you never said still hanging quiet in the air. Somewhere down this line's a small town that won't ask from where I came. Just a room above a storefront and a number, not a name. I'll keep working in the shadow where the noise can't touch your door. Let the stories die out slowly on a track they can't explore. Never bring the wolves home just to prove how far you've climbed. Never let the ones you love wear the interest on your crimes. Never trade a peaceful morning for a loud and borrowed throne. If you wanna walk with darkness, you walk into it alone. Got a ticket with no return. Let the whispers fall behind each turn. If this train keeps rolling, let the old debts call. They can carve my name in silence, I'll still stand tall. I'm not looking for redemption, I know exactly what I've earned. I just keep my code unbroken with this ticket. No return. No return.
Dashboard clock is ticking like a slow and crooked fuse. Lines are wide along the asphalt, every stripe another bruise. Suit coat on the backseat, cufflinks in the door, motel key on the mirror from a town I left before. Coffee in a paper cup, map folded by the break, duffel bag half zipped with a life I wouldn't take. Radio is low enough to hear the engine talk, and in my head you're by the window watching me just drive and walk. Barefoot in the kitchen when I turned that final key, city humming through the glass, but your eyes were fixed on me. Said you didn't need the numbers, just a reason I would stay. I could see the bill collecting on every ordinary day. There were names inside my wallet, there were debts under the floor. There were men who never hesitate to stand at our front door. So I kissed you in the hallway, left that envelope of cash, took my watch off, left it shining where the counter caught the flash. You call it running,
like I'm scared of what I've done. I call it choosing where I'll stand when all the reckoning comes.
My cold ride shotgun, while my past fades slow. Don't beg forgiveness, I just pay and go. I keep my hands on the wheel, eyes on the line. Let the rear view swallow every face that crossed the line. If the road wants blood, it can claim it from me, but it won't touch you, that's the one guarantee. I'm not lost in the dark, I just lighten my load, with my heart in the glove box and my coat on the road. There's a diner by the highway where the truckers trade their scars. Neon humming over coffee, tired boots and wounded cars. I could pull in at the next sign, call your number from a booth, draw our story on a napkin, finally pour you every truth. But the check would hit the counter with a price you shouldn't bear. They would trace my voice like tire marks, find your quiet little stare. So I pass another exit, let the miles erase my name, drive like I'm the only witness to the man I overcame. Every mile's a little bargain with the ghosts that want their due. Give them distance, give them silence, but you never give them you. I have paid in sleepless windows, in the weight behind my eyes. Still I choose my stretch of pavement when the past decides to rise. My cold ride shotgun, and it cuts both ways. It keeps you out of reach, well, it shortens my days. I keep my hands on the wheel, lean into the line. Let the rear view hold the shadows that were once alongside mine. If the road wants a legend, it can carve me from stone, but it won't cross your doorway, it will only take my bones. I'm not asking for mercy, I'm just carrying this load, with my fate in the distance and my coat on the road.
Last call in this back room, chairs flipped on every table but mine. Neon humming on the bottles, drawing cracks in the quiet sky. badge face down by my elbow, metal catching just a stripe of light. Holster print on my shoulder where the weight rolled through the night. Bartenders drown one last glass, try not to read my tone. I say, pour one more for the records and pretend I drank alone. I was sworn in with my brother, we both wore that same blue shine. He kept his book by the letter, I learned to lean on the dotted line. Found back doors that swung open, if you knew just who to call. Learned which captains like to whisper, which ones hated seeing walls. Now the phone in my coat pocket rings softer than a prayer. I don't answer for the sirens, I answer for who's there. There's a list inside my jacket of the favors I still owe. Names written in my head in ink that doesn't show. And every time I cross that line, they carved in courthouse stone. I feel my brother's eyes behind me, weighing what I've grown. I keep a leash on the law, hand wrapped tight around the chain. I can pull it back or lose it, make it bad or just complain. You can stand there in the spotlight, swear you're clean above it all, but when truth needs quiet handling, I'm the leash on the law. I'm the leash on the law. They put my brother in a photograph frame hanging in the station hall. Said he died for doing right, standing straight against the crawl. I was working in a back office, filing truths in darker drawers, stamping seals on certain stories, letting others hit the floor. Now his picture sees me walking past with case files in my hand. The man who learned to bend the rules so the wrong ones wouldn't stand. There's a drawer at home that's heavy, with envelopes and old IDs, keys with numbers long forgotten, closed reports no one else has seen. Some nights I hear a knock that never reaches to the door, just the echo of my brother asking what this leash was for. I keep a leash on the law, hands still tied around the chain. Every favor bought me distance, every silence left a stain. You can carve my name in marble or just scratch it on a star. Either way, when deals need darkness, I'm the leash on the law. I'm the leash on the law. Black fox running at night, close hand in a blade, ending the city on his own terms. A night told her truth in there, and it was like on the clouds, blue bags for the empty room. Keeps changing, but my name's never shown. There's a way I always liked it when this city called me home. I step across the yellow line as the carriage doors slide wide. Feel the station falling back when I climb the steps inside. I used to move through corridors where no one said my name, carrying sealed brown folders that could tell those streets came. If a meeting needed silence, I was waiting near the door. If a promise needed weight, I was the weight behind the floor. This city paid in favors more than paper or a certain kind of quiet on a man who stayed control. But the cracks behind the marble started whispering too loud. So I bought one simple ticket, left before I joined that crowd. Don't mistake the way I'm leaving for a man who lost his nerve. I'm just choosing where this story bends and swerves. I'm a night train runner, not a runaway. I pick the track, I choose the hour, then I walk away. When this city wants a ghost, it remembers what I've done. Tonight it gets my outline and the rhythm of my run. You can call it disappearing, I just call it changing roads. I'm a night train runner, keeping both my hands on hold. Compartment light is yellow, fabric seats and tired roads. Coat hung on a metal hook, corridor door half closed. Ticket lives inside my wallet, there's a return I never told. Little printed destination that won't see me at its door. Phone facing the darkness, one unsent line on the screen. Don't wait up for explanation, remember where I've been. I lock the words behind my thumb and let the cursor fade. Watch the fences turn to dark lines as the city slides away. Tracks run back toward the towers, out ahead into the black. Still don't care which way you face, it can always take you back. I could ride this line in circles, be the rumor that returns. Let the old life open arms and pretend it never burned. But I know what loyalty costs when the mask begins to slip. Better to be missed in stories than to sink inside their ship. I'm a night train, running last lights start to dim. When the suits behind the windows raise a glass to what was him. They can write a softer version, file my name in lighter tone. Say I left to chase some daylight and to build a quieter home. But the reason that I'm leaving is the part I still control. I'm a night train, keeping custody of my this carriage keep on swaying, let that station fade to none. If this city ever calls me, it can talk to what I've done.
Last train humming at the platform, yellow letters on the board, vending machine in the corner, spitting silver when it's bored. My ticket folded in my wallet, my name written in small, one suitcase by my boots and one number I won't call. These tracks remember every whisper that I carried for this town. Now I'm standing by the carriage while the signals flicker down. This city taught me how to listen when the doors were barely cracked, how to walk through quiet hallways with a favor at my back. I knew which stair would never creak and which hand to never shake. I could move a man from daylight with one well-positioned break. Every corner knew my footsteps, every back room knew my face. Now I'm trading all that gravity for one narrow second-class space. I don't run from what I've done here, I don't beg for any grace. I just choose my moving exits while the memories keep their place. I paid my fare in shadows long before I heard this train, bought this seat with all the secrets stitched in steel and window pane. I leave this city standing, but it won't forget my name. I paid my fare in shadows, now I'm rolling out of frame. I'm the gentleman of ending, stepping clean outside your game, with my coat still in my pocket and this distance like a flame. Neon clock above the doorway, second hand that never sleeps, station bench with peeling edges, scattered flyers in a heap. Through the glass I watch the towers getting smaller, losing teeth. Every light another promise that I buried underneath. There'll be younger hands to hold it, there'll be voices in my place, but they'll study how I vanished when they whisper about this face. I won't trade my spine for mercy, I won't sell my name for peace. I just balance out the ledger, let the noise behind me cease. If you're listening from the concrete while these wheels divide the night,
No, I left without a stumble, every step a chosen fight. I paid my fare in shadows long before I heard this train. Bought this seat with all the whispers pressed in iron, glass and grain. I leave this city breathing, but it won't forget my name. I paid my fare in shadows